It has been my dream to recreate Mario Kart in Minecraft. Just the scale and difficulty of making a functional Mario Kart has stopped me. Until today, because today, I threw away all my good decision making, well, more like for the past 7 months, and I have finally made a functional Mario Kart in Minecraft survival. The main priority is to have the game fun, and in my opinion the most fun way to race in Minecraft is with ice boats. It takes a lot of skill to control the boat, and it makes the game feel fast-paced, which is perfect for a Mario Kart. The next question is, how do I make the game look like the original? In Minecraft, there are hitboxless blocks that allow boats to be affected by the ice, so the boats can go at a normal pace. The two most promising blocks are item frames and pressure plates. Pressure plates take up almost a whole block, and there are 16 different kinds of pressure plates, meaning we could have 16 different kinds of road material. With a texture pack, they could be improved to have a custom texture to take up the entire block. The only flaw is, it requires the other players to download the pack, and console players can't do that. That is where item frames come in. Maps can be put in item frames to create a custom texture to cover the ice. The problem is, they unload at a large distance and they cause client-side lag, so only players with good devices would be able to play. At this point, the options are an icy looking road, a messy road with cracks in it unless if a texture pack is used, or a laggy surface that unloads at a distance. I'm going to disqualify the item frames because they just have too many drawbacks, which leaves pressure plates and plain ice. Switching between these two ideas wouldn't take a ton of work, so I decided to select the right track next. Of course, the only proper tracks to use would be the ones from Mario Kart Wii. We can eliminate some because going upward is not possible with maintaining fun. Of course, some could be modified to be flat. Any crossovers or cannons are not allowed. And now it's time to select the best course to make in Minecraft. Luigi Circuit. Easy, but kinda boring. Not much difficulty. Moo Moo Meadows. Wouldn't take much to flatten, not too interesting, but better than Luigi Circuit. Daisy Circuit. Grumble Volcano. Lots of flattening would be required, but it is a really interesting course. Moonview Highway. Really the only advantage of Moonview Highway is the cars, and you can't really recreate that. N64 Sherbetland. Some interesting turns, very easy to flatten, and wait, isn't the surface all ice? So I don't even need pressure plates or item frames to cover it. I can just simply use ice. To make the track, I downloaded the 3D model, convert it into a schematic file for Java Edition, pasted it into a Java world, and then convert the Java world into a Bedrock world, because Bedrock is better than Java. Fight me in the comments. The course is functional, but it's a little boring at this point. After some time painting the walls with a pattern, it finally looks acceptable. Now let's just see how many resources I need. 22 shulkers of packed ice, 14 shulkers of diorite, 14 shulker boxes of clay, and 14 shulker boxes of calcite, for a total of 63 shulkers of resources. Nice. Time for a resource gathering montage. For the ice, I went out to a frozen ocean nearby and cleared that thing dry. Well, if it wasn't an ocean, it would be dry. For the diorite, I went underground, set up a haste beacon, and then just cleared all the patches of diorite I could find. For the calcite, I went 24,000 blocks away to a massive stony peaks. This way, I wouldn't have to go from stony peak to stony peak. I could just stay in one spot. And for the clay, instead of going to rivers, which that would be an absolute pain, I went into lush caves and the area around it to search for clay pockets. To build this thing, I got a fellow Mario Kart enjoyer, Bang Boomy, to help me with placing blocks. More like, he just placed all the packed ice, and then I placed the rest of the stuff. After many hours over multiple months of on and off building, it is finally done. Well, at least the building part is. There's still a lot of redstone work that needs to be done. Not only do I want to create an accurate track, I also want to make a functioning checkpoint system and an in-game timer for 8 players. Why not 12? I don't have 12 friends, I only have 8. To show you how I'm going to make the checkpoint system, I first need to show you how to not make a checkpoint system. In Mario Kart Wii, there are a series of key checkpoints. When you enter a key checkpoint, only the one before and after will be loaded. If your previous checkpoint was the final one and you cross the finish line, the lap counts. But if you go backwards across the starting line, the internal lap counter decreases. This system is susceptible to going around the starting line, so your lap doesn't decrease. And since that final checkpoint is still loaded, you enter that and go across the finish line, and the game thinks you completed a lap. Instead of this system, I'll be using 3 key checkpoints, and there will be a counter. Every time you go into a key checkpoint that makes progress, it counts up by 1. Every time you go into the previous key checkpoint, it decreases the counter by 1. If a key checkpoint is skipped, then on the next key checkpoint that you come across, the counter will decrease by 1, because the game thinks that you're going backwards. And then once you arrive at the key checkpoint before the one that you skipped, then the game counts up 1. Essentially meaning if you skip a key checkpoint, the lap won't count. And if you even try to do a Mario Kart Wii styled ultra shortcut, you're just going to end up going back and forth across the first key checkpoint, which is going to do nothing. And now it's time to actually build the checkpoint system. You might be thinking I would enter a creative testing world at this point, but no, past me just decide to wing it. I mean, it's possible I could make something that could work, but if I wing it, isn't like I'm going to end up later on have to redo everything because the system didn't work due to reasons that I couldn't see coming, and then had me rebuild that system in a design that's like 10 times smaller. I don't see why you'd even think something like that. Inside the chest boat, you'll have items. In this case, it'll be spruce slabs. As I cross the finish line right there, one of those slabs end up getting picked up by hopper minecarts over here, travel through the hoppers, and then into the spruce slab item filter right here. And then I can take an output from here, and now I know that a player with a chest boat went across the finish line. And when playing with multiple players, each person is going to have different items in their chest boat. So it's going to be a multiplayer checkpoint system. I need to make 3 more of these. Once all 3 checkpoints were completed, I started clearing out an area for the brain. Before I start building the brain, I should probably explain to you how I plan on making the brain even work. The brain works by bridging the gap between the 3 checkpoints and the timers. Since the checkpoints output a pulse, I need to make sure that that pulse gets turned into a constant signal that identifies which checkpoint the player is currently on. To do this, I'll be using a 3-way RS NOR latch. The next step is to check whether the checkpoint number has increased or decreased by 1. If it increases by 1, that goes into the counter and counts up. If it decreases by 1, it goes into the counter and decreases the counter by 1. Once the counter reaches 9, then the timer will stop, since you've completed 3 laps. If you're wondering how we detect whether the player is going forward a checkpoint or back a checkpoint, I made the system go through all possibilities. If the player goes from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, or 3 to 1, then we know the player is going forward. If the player goes from 1 to 3, 2 to 1, or 3 to 2, then we know the player is going backwards. And now it's time to start working on the brain. This machine is detecting when the player goes from a checkpoint that's lower to a checkpoint that's further along. Now I need to move on to detecting when the player goes down a checkpoint. So essentially what I'm explaining is, you could start at checkpoint 1, go to checkpoint 2, go back to checkpoint 1, and then go back to checkpoint 2, back and forth, and that would keep on thinking that you're going forward. So I need something to counteract that, so every time you go back a checkpoint, it will decrease a counter. I then forgot to place a repeater, and it took me a painfully long time to realize that this repeater was missing. Then we're making progress, and that piston should deactivate. So, this has 2 delay, this has 4 delay, this has 6 delay. All these repeaters along here are the same. 2 delay plus, that's me, 12. 2 plus 12 is 14. This one is 4. It has 6, that's 10. And this should have 6, so that should have 6. So I have to go from... So currently I'm at 1. If I go to 3, do both activate? No, 1 activates. Okay, that one works. When I go from 3 to 2, it recognizes I made backwards progress. If I go to 2 to 1, it doesn't. There's something wrong. Oh. So this is what we call, making a big dumb. Redstone signal strength. I need a repeater there. Or, I can, use my 2 brain cells and unlock the 3rd dimension. Like this. Before I was constricting myself to 2 dimensions, but now I can run lines over themselves. Sometimes, it's the stupid mistakes that get me. No wonder your brain is not being a brain. I think that's because my brain's just simply tired. Apparently going from 3 to 1 doesn't act... Please make fun of me. For Redstone to work, you actually need to place some repeaters. And go to 1, that piston should turn off. There we go. It works. So if the player goes from checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2, that redstone should turn on, because the game detects that I moved forward a checkpoint. Going from checkpoint 2 to checkpoint 3 should turn it on, because that's going forward. Checkpoint 3 to checkpoint 1 should also turn it on, because it's going forward. So currently, I'm at checkpoint 1, and if I go from 1 to 3, that line should turn on. There we go. That's what I wanted. I was thinking of, there are 2 droppers here. We're gonna have 9 in total. Okay, going from 10 to 11 changes signal strength. That's good to know. Once this dropper becomes 11 items, it knows you've made through 9 checkpoints. There's 3 per lap, so that means you've done 3 laps. I think this should be done for the first layer. All we need is 7 more of these. I kind of forgot to record building all 8 sections. Once the brain was complete, I hooked up the checkpoints to the brain, added a boat storage system, and then set up the spot where the 8 timers would be placed. Once all the interactive parts of the build were complete, I completed the connections of each line to the brain. And now it's every Redstoner's favorite time, bug fixing. And let me take you through just a little bit of the process that is required when bug fixing. And that should be everything complete. Hope it works. The timer didn't work. Oh, I just forgot a couple components. It should work now. The timers still don't work. I'm unloading the chunks too fast for the item filters. They'll just get activated once the chunks get loaded again, since the items are still getting processed. Now I'm using droppers instead of hoppers, so then an item takes 1 tick to travel a block instead of 4 ticks. Great. This should solve all the problems. And now, I think it should be good to get some friends playing with me. I may have a bit of practice on this race.
I assume so. Yeah, you'll probably lap me.
No.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna lap me.
Of course not. What would make you think that?
Because I saw your name tag. Oh.
Hopefully, the mangrove timer has stopped. It has not. Okay. So yours worked, but I did do most of my testing with an oak boat. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
I mean, have you tried it with multiple boats at once?
I have not. Just, they shouldn't interfere with each other.
My default is to start muted and then wait till everyone's looking at me confusedly for a while.
We're starting.
Oh, dang it.
Stuff came out of the chest.
Did you break the boat?
I did. I didn't realize that I shouldn't.
Oh.
I'll fix it. Don't worry.
Have you considered giving everyone maps to see where we are on the map?
That's actually a good idea.
And there's zombies here.
Yeah.
I know there was a
anyone-
witch in the cave. I was like, oh boy.
Oh no.
Yep,
Oh, okay.
That's the spot that gets everyone.
Hello. Oh, hi. You're gonna have to teach me how the timer works for sure.
Well,
I don't
currently
even-
it's not working. Okay. Clearly there's still a problem. I think I know what's going on. The redstone lines are probably going outside cache chunks and just not updating all the way back to the brain. Which means this entire thing needs a redesign. Here's the entire redesign of the checkpoint system that would solve that problem. But no, it doesn't need a redesign. There's just a few components missing. Okay, after that nightmare, hopefully the timer still doesn't work. Okay. Oh. There's just some redstone signal strength that ran out. Okay. And now let's check it out. Does the timer work? The timer finally works. Yes! Since the timer is now done, this track is just, it's done. This was a long project. And, you know, if I were to do this again, I would definitely do some things differently. Like, number one, I would include more labor from other members. Thank you, Bang, for helping me place all the packed ice. A couple things I don't think I've really mentioned is these bamboo pillars. These show where the key checkpoints are, so then the players know they have to go on the ice around these. And then there's these re-entry zones. These aren't perfect, but they're good enough. So there's these penguins. These are made with a bunch of mini blocks, since the server I play on has mini blocks. If you, the viewer, are a skilled or passionate builder or redstoner, feel free to leave an application in the GuildRock Discord. Link will be in the description. And I didn't know how to detail the penguins other than this. You may have also noticed this building over here. This is not part of the original, but I needed a building where I could have a bunch of buttons, and simply just diorite, calcite, and clay walls was not enough. I could have made this so much smaller with the knowledge I currently have. You don't know everything on your first time around, so it's fine that it's a little bit on the chunky side. Here we have an armor stand that my cam account latches onto, so then this area in the brain is always loaded. And all along here, there are these redstone lines. These redstone lines took so much time and so much redstone. Oh wait, it needs the penguin still. Can this track even be complete without the penguin? Hello? Make that should be the belly of the penguin. I think I'm fairly okay with how that looks. Okay, what is that thing? I mean, he looks kind of surprised, but you know what? That is good enough. And with that, this area is finally complete. Oh my goodness, he still looks a little bit silly.